So ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease affecting nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Here in the United States, the prevalence is about 3.9 cases per 100,000 people, and those numbers go up sharply with age. Most people are diagnosed anywhere from 60 to 75 years old. Now, here in Florida, more than 1,400 unique ALS cases were identified. So joining me now to talk more about this, we have Dr. Bjorn Oscarson, a neurologist, also the director of the ALS Center of Excellence at Mayo Clinic, Florida. Good morning. Thank you much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, here at Channel 4, this affects us directly. We had a coworker who died of ALS, and I'll never forget when she was diagnosed with it. We knew that eventually she would likely die, and we watched her body just deteriorate. And it was a very difficult thing to experience just as someone who loves someone with ALS. So talk to us more about what it is and why it affects the body this way.
So I think you really led in very well with this. ALS is a disorder of the nerves going to the muscles. So we see that the nerve cells from the brain that reach their axons down into the spinal cord get sick, and also the nerve cells from the spinal cord going out to the muscle. So both those two steps that you need to be able to move a muscle get sick. And really, in either place that wire breaks, you end up with weakness as a problem. And in ALS, it becomes a very severe weakness that then also eventually involves the muscles of breathing to the point that people die.
Yeah, the warning signs, I want to talk about those because, it was so personal to so many of us. I remember she was in New York City. She fell and she thought, what's going on? Like, to your point, that weakness. And she never would have thought that it was ALS. And eventually she was diagnosed. So talk about those warning signs.
So it is most of the time that when people get weakness somewhere here and there, we all get weak a little bit here and then it goes away. It is not a marker of ALS, but weakness that starts, just fluctuates a little bit and gradually builds over time is the most worrisome symptom of ALS. Now, there's many other diseases that also can do that. And it is a little bit difficult to diagnose ALS in the early stages. As the disease becomes more advanced, it becomes much easier to see that it's ALS.
Yeah, are there certain things that, groups should look out for? Is this genetic? Is it more common in men and women? I know that we said something about age, that usually people are diagnosed when they're a little older. So what should people be looking out for?
So it is a highly variable disease. Again, there are people who are quite young, rarely in their 20s, 30s, 40s, that get the disease too. So it is possible, but the weakness will be the thing to watch out the most for. Muscle twitching, what we call fasciculations, are another feature that we all get. But again, ALS particularly can drive that up. Muscle cramps. We see sometimes changes in memory and thinking, or really ability to think. It's not a common feature in ALS, but it's not rare either. There's really several rare problems that also can be warning signs of ALS, but weakness will be the most common one.
Yeah, let's talk about treatment options, because I know a few years ago there just weren't many. It wasn't a whole lot that you could do about it. So is there anything promising in terms of treatment or cures?
Yes, and again, going back, I answered the genetic aspect of ALS. What we see, the reason why the disease develops, gives us an insight, gives us a target to aim and shoot at with gene-stopping drugs. And for a couple of the genes now, we have this SOD1 gene, which was the first gene discovered to link to ALS. There, this works very well. There are still people with this form of ALS where the disease is, the drug is not quite good enough, but for most patients, there are patients with that genetic form of ALS where we've treated them and we can't even tell they have ALS anymore. It is really powerful. But that is a small portion of people. And we at Mayo Clinic here discovered the most common genetic cause of ALS in 2011, the C9 gene change. And there, that type of strategy does not work. And certainly for most people, we still don't see a genetic or other clear cause. We don't have anything nearly as powerful. We have drugs that make people live longer. And we have a lot of ways that we can manage breathing and nutrition that also keeps people living better. Right. So there are definitely things we can do, but our first real wins with near cures are only for a few people with genetic changes.
Right, which is huge, for those people. But certainly, I know you guys are doing the work, and we are just prayerful that one day there will be a cure for this horrible disease. So thank you for talking with us today. We also want to give people something to do about this, a way that they can help find a cure for ALS and to provide some resources. So next week during the CEO Soak fundraiser. It is hosted by the ALS Association. It's September the 16th. The public apparently is welcome to attend, and they need more participants. So you can watch as CEOs and executives from all around our area compete by plunging into a freezing cold tub for as long as possible. So it's a fun way to really help to raise some money and awareness as well. So it will be held at Intuition Aleworks starting at 5:30. And the goal here is to raise $75,000. You can learn more about how you can participate or donate. The number to call 305-697-3384 or just search ALS.org.